The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello and welcome to Talk Politics. Our guest today spent 20 years in broadcast before making the jump to municipal politics. Elected in 2014 in Oshawa as a regional and city councillor. 4 years later, he is mayor-elect. Welcome, Dan Carter, to the show.
Great to see you, Dan.
Real thrill. And all the years in broadcast together, we've never had the opportunity to really sit down and talk.
No, and you know, I want to start my comments off with saying you guys did a great job on election night. You had three great characters on the show that brought a lot of color, but it was an interesting election all across the region of Durham. A lot of changes happened, and you guys did a great job, so hats off to you.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to you. 70% of the vote. Your reaction to that?
I'm still really humbled by the whole piece, and I was humbled the very first time I was elected also at the same time, is because you understand the process of people walking into a ballot area and they put a check mark or a circle beside your name, and for people to actually be able to do that, I think it humbles you as you do it yourself, and then when the results come in, you think to yourself, oh my goodness. And it's a blessing that people believe in the type of campaign we ran, but the kind of person I am. And I think that that really represented the kind of leadership I think our community wants. I think they want the type of leadership that hopefully I've demonstrated not only in the past 4 years, but the 20 plus years of being in the community.
You were always, I'm sure, very positive, went into this campaign with a very positive attitude that you were going to do well, but did you really think you were going to do that well?
Do you know what? It's always the same way. I went into it not knowing what the results would be. I felt confident that we ran a really good campaign. We had strong campaign teams that were out there. We had a good advertising campaign that went on, but you just never know. You know, we came off of 4 years of, I would think, one of the most successful councils of all times in the city of Oshawa. We've had one of the largest turnovers, which really surprised me tremendously. Now, that was through retirement. It was also through people running against one another. That also eliminates a lot of people, but I was really surprised. So it always, you know, watching what happened in Ontario, watching what happened in the United States, I think it really makes you very cautious going into any type of election. Describe your leadership style. I've always tried to take a kind of an approach about very much a collaboration, about partnerships, and very much of bringing people together to be able to work on a common cause. I've always tried to conduct my meetings where no is not part of the conversation. It has to be, you know, we've tried that before. We were unsuccessful, but I believe we could do. I really want to bring more people into the conversation and really keep the conversation going. You know, in broadcasting, it's about keeping the conversation going so that you get the answers that you need. And I think it's the same thing in my leadership style. I take my 20 years as a broadcaster and try and search for the answer, look for the commonalities, and how do we work as partners to be able to accomplish the task. Because here's the reality. There's 11 different personalities. We have a responsibility to represent 172,000 people, first and foremost. And we have to look at it as our responsibility is to make sure that we service those individuals to the very fullest in our best efforts in everything that we do. So that means that we're going to have to look at our skills, our talents, and our abilities and our giftings and work together to be able to accomplish the task. So I'm a real bridge builder. I want partnerships and I want collaboration. You've got a real mix, talking about personalities, a real mix of personalities in this council. When you take a look at it, you have 4 newcomers, 2 returning councillors. You have Bob Chapman is back, who took a break to run provincially, and he was reelected. And then you have 3 councillors that lost last time, that were incumbents in 2014, that lost, and they're now back. Nicholson, Gray, and Mayor Pietri. 3 very, very strong, experienced and 3
people.
Different types of skill set, too. If you look at it, Mayor Gray, and now Councillor Gray, is a skilled talented, gifted public servant. Many, many years of being able to serve, and he has a great deal of knowledge. Councillor Nicholson. His first entry into politics was 1985. This man has worked not only in Canada and not only on behalf of our community, but has traveled across the world to be able to work with other governments. I mean, that kind of skill and ability. And Councillor Marion Pietri, young, bright, well-educated, very committed to the community. And I just look at that kind of combination and say, isn't it exciting to be able to have those kind of three different types of personalities with that kind of skill and ability to come forward? What everybody has to understand, though, is our politics of today is a lot different. We need to modernize how we do politics. We're no longer a bureaucratic organization. We need to really look at that we are a customer service organization. That means that we train, we respond, we communicate, we do things differently in a modernized way. And I'm hoping that those that have served in the past also embrace this moment of modernization and really taking our city to new lengths.
How do you create a harmonious team when you have the newbies, the old guard?
Yep.
How do you bring it all together?
The first thing I've been doing is meeting with each and every member, not only the members that have served in the past, but also members that have just been elected, and really sit down and look at their skills, their abilities, their talents, and their gifts. Look at where they would like to serve, see where their skills and abilities are, and hopefully be able to help them see where they could serve at the very highest level. My job as the head of council is to make sure that each member is successful, but overall the 11 members are successful on behalf of the city. So that really takes understanding who's good at what and give them the opportunity to be able to work under the auspices that they understand that we serve all citizens of the city of Oshawa. There's going to be some principal things that I think we have to take into consideration. We have to remember that, you know, our finances are finally in good shape as we move forward, but the discipline that is necessary over the next 4 years will play a vital role in the history of our city over the next 25 years. We need to continue to pay debt down, continue to build our reserves, continue to invest in our infrastructure, and make sure we understand the affordability factor for each and every family member. You look at it today. You know, you look at energy up 12 or 13%, groceries up 12%, transportation, education, all these kind of things. So we have to take that into consideration and say, this is what we can do as to make sure we have a successful city. But at the same time, we have to say to ourselves, what impact do we have on the family budget? And how are we going to make sure that our impact on them is as minimum as possible with the highest amount of services?
Any surprises this election? Other than your
well,
70%.
yeah. I mean, I was surprised by my results. I was also surprised once again at voter turnout because I guess the reality is I don't blame the public for that. I blame us as elected officials. I really want to see us do a better job in regards to outreach, connecting with people, getting them engaged. Municipal politics play a significant role. I think we have more contact with our constituents than both provincial and federal members do. And this is just my opinion. I'm nothing against our members, but I just believe that based upon my experience. So what does that mean? It means that we have to do a better job of doing outreach throughout the 4 years. That means the mayor has to do things that are going to be a little bit different. And if you'll allow me, I'll just share what some of my ideas are. One of the ideas is I'm going to have 5 mayor barbecues in 5 priority neighborhoods across the city. 1,000 hot dogs, really kind of connect and cook and just meet people. And I think that's one of the ways we can do it. But I also want to do things like Your Voice Matters at the Oshawa Center, where the mayor will be there for 2 days to answer any questions, meet members of council, and just talk to us about the issues that you're concerned about. I think we have to do more of an opportunity as an outreach opportunity to hear the concerns of people, but also they need to know that their local representatives are actually hearing their voice, and that when they do cast a ballot, when they do come to our meetings, when they do come to a planning meeting, that those things are taken into consideration. And this is part of the modernization. We're going to have a discussion about should we be looking at having 2 options for casting a ballot. One that is the traditional way of taking your voter card and go to a polling station. The other is online voting. We need to engage people so that they understand this is their community, this is their council, and their future. Each and every time an election comes up is their opportunity to make sure their voice is heard and their vote counts.
You talk about online voting, but in those communities that had it this time around, Pickering and Ajax, their voter turnout wasn't much more than yours.
And that's why it's not just one component.
Right.
It has to be several components. It's like public safety. You don't just hire policemen and that's it. You do education. You do a whole bunch of different things, community outreach. Part of the idea of modernizing how our political system and getting people engaged really means that we have to do a whole bunch of different things differently. And I think that that's what I'm committed to, and I'm hoping that our council will see the opportunity to modernize our voting process and that we can really engage people in the next election.
Do you think part of it, though, is that people are really not disenfranchised, but just they've given up on the whole political process as a whole, and that they feel like it doesn't matter?
First of all, I think it's a great question. I really do. I think it's a great question, and I think that the reality being is, once again, that goes to a direct reflection of who stands in front of the mirror as an elected official. The reality being is, there's a reason why I said your voice matters, because it really does matter. I can only do my job at the very highest level when I hear the concerns that you live day in and day out. And, you know, that's what makes me, I think, hopefully, I'm going to be a very successful mayor because of the reason that I'm willing to be able to hear the voices of the good news and the bad news. But I do believe that people have drawn the conclusion that their voice doesn't matter, that their concerns aren't heard. So that goes to a charge of those that are elected to be able to say something has to change. We have to do things differently, and that's why going from a bureaucratic organization to a customer service organization, I think, is one of the steps. Outreach is another step. Modernization is another step. How we train our staff is another step. So it's all these things that are in combination. It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight, but I think that it's worth every effort we have to engage people each and every day to make sure that they understand this is their government and we work for them at the pleasure of them.
We're about to go to a break, but I have to ask you, we're back to a ward system in Oshawa. Was that a good thing?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I love the at-large system because it meant that each and every member had to be well-equipped to be able to deal with every type of situation across our city. We heard loud and clear from our public that said, you know what, I just don't know who to call, though. And I used to say, but you got 11 of us, kind of thing. Right. But they wanted somebody being held responsible. I think the public said clearly they want to go back to a ward system. I have to remind members of council that, first and foremost, under the Municipal Act, our first and foremost duty is that we represent all citizens first, and then we are ward representatives secondly.
Okay, I'm going to hold you there. We're going to go to a quick break, give you a chance to have a cup of water. We will return in just a moment with Dan Carter, Mayor-elect of Oshawa. Stay with us.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
As the Senior Support Coordinator at Durham Regional Police, I have the privilege of working with Durham seniors and the organizations that serve them. Join me, Sergeant Sherry, on Seniors Talk each week as we put the spotlight on issues that matter the most to seniors and their families. Managing finance, healthcare, and family responsibilities are just some of the challenges that we'll tackle on Seniors Talk, only on Rogers TV.
Working here as a volunteer is a good way to get to know your community. It's a good way to learn how to work as a part of a team, and it's a good way to meet some really wonderful people. Learned a lot from the other volunteers and from the staff coming through here about production techniques. I'm Ken Grant, and I'm a Rogers TV volunteer.
This is Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Oshawa Mayor-elect Dan Carter.
It's hard to hear that, you know.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really
Mr.
weird.
Mayor?
Yeah. Everybody says, how's it feel? I said, I'm still number 5 in our household of 3. So, and my granddaughter, of course, is number 1. So that's it. So,
as it should be.
Yeah, she's 15 months old, Carolina May, and one of the greatest joys for me and Paula, and it's just been amazing. I have 2 grandsons, Carter and Bennett, that are 6 and 4, and it's a real special time for us. But yeah, it's hard to get used to people saying that, and I kind of look around when I walk into City Hall now. So,
what are you looking forward to most about being mayor?
Boy, that's a really difficult question. Right at this particular time, I'll be very frank with you. I'm a little, we're still taking in everything that has happened over the last 10 days or so, and we're really trying to get ourselves organized. So I think it's just, I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to see how we bring this group together. We are blessed at City Hall. We've got some incredible staff. We rebuilt our senior leadership team over the last 4 years. We've taken on a new kind of mythology when we go to running City Hall. We're under a lean process that really looks at how do we do things. We've got a great auditing process now. We have KPMG that does the deep dives. When we had an auditor general, which was a big part of the conversation that I heard at the doors that people were wondering about, I talked to them about the KPMG process, where they bring specialists from around the world and really do a deep dive in regards to process and policy and how we value for dollar and all these kind of things. So our team has changed dramatically at City Hall. So that really excites me to be able to see how all these pieces of the puzzle are going to come together. So I'll be honest with you, I'm anxious, and I always say I start my day on my knees and I end my days on my knees, and I think it'll continue that way.
I have to tell you, one thing I've always loved about you is how open and honest you are with people about yourself.
Yeah.
You've never shied away from your past personal struggles. No. This election, the mainstream media, the Toronto media, really got a hold.
Yeah.
Really got a hold of that, and all I seem to hear from them, and no disrespect intended, was from homeless to mayor.
Yeah.
They made it sound like it happened overnight, Dan.
Yeah. It's been 28 years. It's been 28 years of sobriety that I've gone through, and it's been redemption, recovery, forgiveness. It's been a lot of things. As you know, through that 28 years, I've lost one of my marriages. My sister that saved my life took her life, and that was devastating. I buried both my parents. It's been a real struggle over the last 28 years, but sobriety gave me the opportunity to be able to serve in whatever capacity, either as a journalist or now as an elected official. But yeah, it wasn't that on the 21st I was living on the streets, and on the 22nd I was elected. But those experiences, because of the periods of homelessness, the struggle with addiction and mental health, the struggle that I went through with my learning disability, speaking about being sexually raped when I was a boy, talking about my sister's unfortunate suicide, my brother's death, all those things equip me so that I may be able to have empathy, sympathy, and understanding of individuals that struggle. We have an issue in our community, like many communities across Canada, where we have individuals that are displaced, that are living in poverty, and that are struggling with this opiate crisis that's just devastating to every community across Canada. But when I go out and I speak to them and I talk to them and I serve at some of the breakfast programs, the great thing about it is they know who I am, and they know that when they tell me, like, I'm really having a hard time right now, and I said, so how do we help you right now? What is it you need right now? They know it doesn't come from a place of BS or just politics. This is a guy that knows where it is. So is it healthcare you need? Is it a lawyer you need right now? Is it a place you need to sleep? Are you struggling with mental health? All those things equip me to be able to serve differently. I'm not I wish I was a better person through my period of addiction. I wish that I didn't have to go through the many struggles that I went through. But later in life, I look upon it as I have been blessed to be able to be given the chance once again to be able to serve at a different level.
And you were offering help without judgment, right?
You know, the thing is that I always used to say to people, I do a mental health training process with Durham Regional Police a couple times a year, and I always say, when you see those people on the streets that are eating out of garbage cans, and those people that look sick, and those people that are doing drugs, and those people that smell bad, and they look bad, and everything else, and they're sleeping on the streets, they look like this. And, you know, that's truly what it was like. And I also am reminded, especially with my grandkids now, that those individuals that are suffering on the streets are somebody's kid. Yeah. So I have a responsibility to do everything I possibly can to save their child. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't draw on lines of provincial or federal or this is healthcare and we're not in the healthcare business. My responsibility is, because of my experiences, is to be able to say that is somebody's child and I need to do everything I possibly can to save their life. If they take the opportunity to be able to grasp it, that's their choice. But I need to do everything I can to save their life.
And are you getting, from talking to people, do you get the sense that it is that experience that you've been through that helps them connect with you? Is that why you're connecting with so many people across the board?
I think it comes down to is because every family is dealing with somebody in their family that has a mental health issue. Every family that I know of has someone in their family or extended family that is struggling with addiction. There are members of all of our families that some of us do very well and some of us don't do very well in regards to economics. Some of us have great jobs and some of us have no jobs. So, you know, the reality being is by going through the experiences and being authentic, I think that then people open up to you. If you're unauthentic, if you're just placating, if you're just kind of fluffing them off, I think that that's where it's almost disrespectful. So I look at it as the experiences I went through, and every family has got these struggles that they're facing. It's very easy to connect with me because they know that I understand the struggles that their family's going through. I get calls from all across the country saying my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife, my cousin, my uncle, whomever is going through this. Do you have any suggestions? You know, and I wrote a book, and the book's available across Canada, and all I try and do is say that this is my experience and this is what helped me. But I think it's, you know, all families want is hope. And if they can see that recovery is possible in whatever circumstances, and when it comes from an authentic place, then they have hope. And they know that I'm not saying it to just appease them. I truly believe that we have the resources that we can serve these people at the very highest level. I think it brings the best out of us too. You know, we've got I don't know if you know this, but we have a mobile health unit on the streets now that has a mobile health worker and a social service worker. We have Carrier Community Health Center has 2 Hep C nurses, street nurses on. We have Durham Regional Police that have mental health workers on the streets. We're doing some incredible things as outreach to try and help these individuals. And the mobile unit came out of me saying to my colleagues that fought me tooth and nail on it, but then ended up supporting me overwhelmingly. They're dying on our streets. We've got to do everything we possibly can to start building bridges, and we've got to remember they are somebody's child. And when we put it that way, I think we got a lot of support for it. And my colleagues at Regional Council went, you know what, Dan, you're absolutely right, and they supported it. I'm proud of that.
When you consider everything you went through, some would say, how did you survive? How did you not just say, I give up, that's it, I'm done?
Well, one is my sister, Maureen, and many people know this, that I give the credit of my saving my life was my sister. She really believed in me, always believed in me, and believed that there was a different person in there that was possible. And she never gave up on me, and because of her efforts, I was able to find recovery. I could have never imagined 28 years later I'd be sitting across from you as mayor-elect of a large city in Canada, blessed with a fantastic wife, Paula, fantastic children, unbelievable grandchildren, and the opportunity to serve my community that has blessed me beyond anything. You know, I always say this. I started here.
Yes, you did.
And one of the things is I said to people is I was a really bad broadcaster.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. But I was a bad broadcaster.
Former host of Daytime, everybody, with the fabulous Rita Nave.
That's right. But you have to be really bad at something before you become really good at something. And the community, the city of Oshawa, the region of Durham, blessed me with the opportunity and patience to give me the opportunity to be able to serve. And for that, I will always be grateful.
What are your memories, your best memories of being here as the host of Daytime? We're talking in the 90s, right?
I know, I was talking early part of the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, because of my start here at Rogers Television, I got to meet some of the most incredible people around the world. I got a chance to meet Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr and do some incredible things. I work with great volunteers here. It was wonderful. One of my best memories is I had a show here originally called The Dan Carter Show, and we used to shoot it at the Oshawa Center. And I had a guest of mine that was a sports celebrity, and I thought, sports celebrities, this should be easy, you know, and I'm a young broadcaster. And I remember I got this particular guy on my show. It was a live audience, and he was only answering with one word. And I said to him, I said, this show is an hour long. So, but it did.
Who was that sports celebrity?
I can't tell you, and I don't want to tell it. So I'll leave that for another time.
I'll find out later. I'll let you know.
But I have a lot of great memories out of this building, a lot of great people, and because of Rogers, it gave me an opportunity to be able to provide for my family for over 20 years as a broadcaster. For that, I'm indebted to Rogers and the volunteers and the people that are here. So.
Well, we sure are pleased.
Thank you.
With your election here.
Thanks.
Congratulations, and we'll be watching.
Okay, invite me back.
Oh, yeah, because we're out of time. You got to come back.
All right.
That's the rule.
Okay.
All
Cheers.
right. Our thanks to Dan Carter, Oshawa Mayor-elect, and thanks to you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Deborah Hutchison. Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Well done. Thank you so much.